It's Wednesday, the 5th of June, 2024. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
5 stories in 5 minutes, Sean. Let's get going with story number 1. This is quite alarming. The National Disability Insurance Scheme Integrity Chief says 9 out of 10 plan managers show signs of fraud, and the legal system, he said, would be overwhelmed if all the scams carried out are prosecuted.
John Dardo told the Senate committee that internal analysis shows that 90% of plan managers, those managing funding for up to 100 participants, portrayed significant indicators of fraud. He also said there are dozens of examples where organised crime groups are abusing the system, including encouraging the use of NDIS money to buy drugs and alcohol. More than 60% of the 650,000 NDIS participants use a plan manager, according to the latest quarterly report. There are more than 1,500 plan managers, with the average number of participants using plan managers surging up about 48% over the past couple of years, according to the Fin Review. Payments involving plan managers were $5.7 billion in the March 2024 quarter, with 44% of payments going to unregistered plan managers who typically service people on plans of less than $100,000 per annum. Mr. Dardo says more needs to be done sooner, given the corruption in the system.
Yeah, it is a pretty extraordinary story, with Mr. Dardo's evidence prompting opposition claims that drugs are being trafficked to vulnerable people under the scheme.
When asked what kind of drugs are being bought, such as ice, heroin or cocaine, Mr. Dardo said, and I quote, "You name it, it's on the list." End quote. He said $2 billion is being spent incorrectly, and there are thousands of cases where participants are claiming things that are not consistent with their plan. Recent examples are a $20,000 holiday and a $73,000 new car. In some cases, participants sign up to a plan which funds them a certain amount. They then access the money, but they don't use it for health purposes. The minister under pressure at the moment is Bill Shorten. He is responsible for the NDIS, Michael.
All right, on to story number 2 now, Sean. ABC Radio's performance has tumbled in Melbourne and improved in Sydney, while Ben Fordham on 2GB in the country's largest market has knocked off Kiss FM's Kyle and Jackie O.
It's a tale of two cities for the ABC. In Melbourne, the ABC recorded its lowest ever audience share since the current survey began more than 10 years ago. In Sydney, ABC bounced to its highest listenership this year. ABC Adelaide and ABC Perth rank above Melbourne in terms of audience share, while Brisbane lags behind them. Overall, 9 owned 2GB in Sydney and 3AW in Melbourne recorded strong ratings growth in the survey, with strong performances from a bunch of their stars. The Kyle and Jackie O show, which is being extended into Melbourne, only had 3 weeks of the survey, so we can't quite tell how that's going yet.
All right, story number 3. Production in Australia's agriculture, fisheries and forestry sectors remains on track to be the 3rd highest on record next financial year, supported by improved growing conditions.
The total value of produce or output from the 3 sectors is expected to increase 2% next financial year to $89.5 billion, according to the Australian Bureau of Agricultural and Resource Economics and Sciences. Say that in one breath, it's hard. ABARES, maybe we'll just call it that. The key reasons for the performance are better livestock prices and better growing conditions for crops. Most exciting, Michael, Australia's horticulture sector is on a tear. The produce value is forecast to hit a record $17.4 billion, led by increases in fruit and nuts. Some areas we're doing really well in, things like chickpeas and lentils. We're doing much bigger plantings in those areas. All good news. Maybe areas we're not doing so well in, or at least reducing crop sizes, grains and oilseeds.
Story number 4, Sean. A 3rd poultry farm in Victoria has been found to have a bird flu outbreak, but it's not the same strain that has spread globally and raised fears of human transmission.
That's the good news. Hundreds of thousands of birds have already been destroyed after bird flu was found at 2 other farms in Victoria last month. This third farm is within a few kilometres of the first to report infection, and both have the same H7N3 strain of the virus. The second farm had the H7N9 strain. All farms are in quarantine, Michael.
Okay, last one. Story number 5. Shares in GameStop surged as much as 75% on Monday night, Tuesday morning Australian time, after a post on Reddit purported to show that Keith Gill, the meme stock investor obviously known as Roaring Kitty, had built a position in the struggling video game retailer that was worth $260 million by the close of trading.
The sharp rise came after Gill's account posted a picture over the weekend that appeared to show he had taken a share stake in options positions in the retailer. Now, GameStop's share price initially leapt, though it closed up only 21% higher, still a fair bit. The day trader was at the centre of the meme stock mania in 2021 when his social media posts encouraged millions of others to pile into the stock and squeeze out hedge funds betting on a share price decline. After a 3-year silence, Gill reappeared last month on social media site X, sending GameStop shares soaring then. They have come back, but then they've soared again in the past 48 hours.
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It is Wednesday, the 5th of June, 2024. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed, wherever you listen to podcasts, or at fearandgreed.com.au, which is also where you can sign up for our free daily newsletter. It comes out Wednesday morning, so you haven't got long to get on board for this week's. Also, today being Wednesday, there's a new episode of How Do They Afford That, our sister podcast, all about making your money work harder for you. This week's episode answers a listener question about how to sort out your money priorities. Do you focus on your super first, or investing, or savings, or paying down the mortgage? We get stuck into that one. I'll put a link in today's show notes. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.